Lori with Rockenko Crafts. Thank you for joining me. So today's video is going to be a 2-for-1. I planned on working on a couple of coasters that they're a special request, and I want to work on that project. And since I was going to mix resin anyway to do that, I thought now would be a good time to test an item that I recently purchased from the Dollar Tree. Let me show these to y'all. I went into the Dollar Tree and they're called fringe backdrops. And they're like 6.5 foot by 38.4 inches. I saw this and I thought, oh, that looks so pretty. That would look great in resin if it works. And then right after that one, I saw this one. Y'all, look how pretty and colorful that is. I don't know how it's going to react in resin, so I definitely want to test it. Let me see if I can get one. I don't know if I want to pull one all the way out of the package, but let me see if I can kind of, because they're going to be long. I guess I will need to eventually pull them all the way out. But let me go ahead and open this package and take a little peek, because they are, oh, look how pretty, y'all. But I don't know if they'll work in resin simply because they are so fine and so thin, and I know resin gets warm. So I actually do want to test them just to see, one, will they work in resin, and number two, how they look in resin. Let me open this one as well. Just get a little peek of this. This one is so pretty. I already have if this works, I already have a project in mind for this one. Look how pretty, y'all. That is just so pretty. It doesn't even show up on camera just how pretty it is, but just all different colors. Anyhow, that's what I plan to do today. And what I'm going to do is I will need to mix some resin to get started on the two coasters. And these are going to be coffee bean coasters. And I know that I did a video, like my 4th video ever was the coffee bean coaster. And that one I didn't add the little stickers that I plan on adding to this one, nor the rim. But since I need to get some resin mixed up for the rims, I'll also mix them up for these so that we can test these. But I'm going to go ahead and get some of this cut and get some resin mixed. And then I will see you shortly and we'll get this party started. See you in a minute. I have some resin mixed up, and I don't know what I was thinking. I told myself I wanted to mix 100 milliliters, and I mixed 50A and 50B. That does equal 100, but I actually wanted 100 altogether. Anyhow, if I need to mix some more, and I'm sure I will, I'll do that. Not a big deal. I have some, this is the brass mica, and I want to use this on the rims. I'm going to go ahead and do these rims first, set them aside, or do the coaster rims first, set them aside, and then start testing with the other stuff, because these rims actually need to set for like 3 to 4 hours before I can do the next pour on them. So I want to go ahead and get them started. Let me see if I can do it without making a big mess, and hope I have enough mixed up here. Trying to carefully get it around the rim. I'm going to let that settle down, pour on the next one, and then if I need to come back, oh, big mess like that. If I need to come back and pour some more, I will. And it does look like I'm going to need to. Let me just add a little bit more now since I have it started, and I'm going to make a mess and clean it. Might as well do it now. Whoa. All right, I'm going to let that set for a second. Let me work on this one. I just want to make sure I have enough for these rims. And I should have. I just don't have enough for the little test molds that I pulled out simply because I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, I wanted 100 altogether. I didn't want 50 and 50, but that's what I did. And stop there. I'll clean these little messes up in a minute. I'm just trying to make sure I have enough in each of these rims. I don't want to go over, but I want it to the bottom of the coaster or to the top. It's actually, I'll be working upside down on these and making a mess. Let me clean up some of my mess. I just have a little bit left. I wonder if it'll fit. It looks like it will over here. Let me pour this last little bit in here. And this was a total of, I believe, 30 milligrams that I mixed with the copper. I probably called it brass or bronze earlier. I don't know why I get those mixed up all the time. Maybe because they all look alike to me. Let me set that aside and get some of this mess cleaned up. And then I'm going to move these out of the way and we'll start testing the stuff that I got from the Dollar Tree. I just don't want any on that part because that's going to be clear. So let me move. What I need to, let me check for bubbles before I even clean up anymore because I'll be making another mess. Just really don't want any bubble pits. All right, I'm going to let that settle down a little bit. Go around the edge here. And then I will clean up the mess. I sure do not have my ducks in a row today. All right. Let me see what kind of messes I made. Pretty big ones. Especially on this one. So let's start with, let me get this off the table. And let me see if I can kind of clean up the edges of this one. I didn't make near the mess on this one as I did this one. Still made a mess though. Let me clean that off the edge. Okay, now this one. Oh boy, did I make a mess. See if I can get that back over there. And then come back in with a wipe. I don't think I'm making it better. I think I'm making it worse. Let me do this. Just wipe it that way instead of trying to get it back into the edge because that edge is pretty full. All right, let me see if I can clean up this mess a little bit without making a bigger one. Get a new wipe. So I really want these to be perfect, although nothing's ever perfect that I work on. That's what I strive for. Let me get this one little spot right here. All right. Now I can set that aside. And let me get these other molds out. As I said, I'm going to have to mix up some more resin simply because I don't know where my mind was at. But I have a couple of skulls, a flower, and a couple of little spears. And I want to go ahead and see if I can get the resin pour it into these, a little bit of resin, because I do want to put some stuff in, but on one of them, I made like a confetti that I kind of want to mix and see. So let me just pour a little bit in that skull. I'm just going to pour a little bit there. Let me get a little bit in this sphere. And then I think I tried to make like a little confetti, and I don't know what to expect. I want to see if I can't see if that will mix. I mean, this stuff is very staticky, but I want to see if I can get that mixed and poured into something. Oh, look, y'all, it's sticking to the bottom of the cup. Maybe I should have put the resin in first. It is sticking to the bottom of that cup. Let me see if I can't get it stirred in without introducing too many bubbles. And I think I'm going to use this one for this. I just want to see if it floats, if it sinks. Will the confetti work? See about getting this in here, and I may need to add a little additional resin, which is fine. Because this stuff is very, very thin, somewhat fragile, and very staticky. I did find that out. Get in there. Oh, it's sticking, y'all. Well, I'll use my tweezers. Yeah, see, it is so stuck to that cup. Maybe I should have put it in after I put the resin in instead of pouring the resin on top of it. Let me get my tweezers. This isn't working. Pick that back up, put that in there. See if I can't use my tweezers to get that out and then add some more resin to the skull itself. And I may not be able to. Let me see if I can use a little wooden stick. See if that helps. If not, then not. And yeah, it's stuck. I would not recommend doing it that way. Let me go ahead and set that aside. Clean a bit of my mess off of here. Give it some squeezes. Add some resin and squeeze it some more, because the jaw bones like to get bubbles. And I may even take my dotting tool in there and try to loosen up some of that. And I mean, it may, and it may just all sink. And I still have room if I want to put more in it. I don't know yet. All right, so I have put some resin in here and some resin in here. Let me show y'all what I did, just because I wanted to experiment. Let me grab my scissors. I took my scissors, the long edge, you know how you would do when you're doing ribbon or whatever, when you want to make it curl, and I did that. Look how cute. Just little bitty curls. And so I think I want to put, and I have a few of those over here. I did just a few of the little bitty curls, because I'm curious as to what it's going to look like. Stick those in there. Then I may add a little more resin. Look at all the static. It's real staticky. Get down in there now. Something else that I did is I actually taped a long piece onto a pencil and whirled it around and hit it real quick with the heat gun. And I got bigger circles, bigger twirls, or I don't know what you would call them, and I may end up putting that in there. I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just experimenting. Let me see if I can add some more resin to this and make some more curly ones to put in there. Because right now it appears that it's floating. I don't know if you can see that. It does look like it's floating, so I want to add a few more. But it's good to know that it floats. That way when you're working with it, you'll kind of know what to expect. I'm going to go ahead and put a dome on this one. Now, let me set that aside. Grab my tweezers and see if I can get some of these. Oh, I already did one like that. Set those aside. This one, I'm going to use the colored ones to see if I can get these strips inside of it. Just because I'm curious how strips versus curls versus confetti will act. There's nothing clean about this. It's going to be sticky. But that's why you experiment, so you know what to expect if you are going to work with it. And that's to say if it doesn't melt in here. Don't know if it will or not yet. Oh, y'all, that's a mess. The static is unreal. But if it looks cool, it's worth the extra effort, especially for, they were just like $1.25 for each pack. And there's a lot of material there. I'm just trying to hold this down so I can get it down in there. And let me see if I can add a little more resin to that. I'm full of sticky. And I want to do some more curls in this one for sure. Let me squeeze by the jawbones. Give it some thumps. Let me see if I can curl some more and put them in there. Because yeah, in this one, it is definitely floating. Let me see if I can pick it up so you can see that it is kind of floating in there, and I don't want it to all be on top. So let me make a few more. And I was going to pour the flour and this other sphere, but I may actually, if I have enough resin to top these off, I may actually stop there. I don't know. I kind of want to try the flour though. I'll probably do the flour. I may not do the other sphere. Oops. Got to grab a hold of it. And I need to clean my glove again. See if I can get that down there. I don't want it cram packed full of it though either. I kind of want to see what it's going to look like. I think I'm going to stop there with that one. Let me go ahead and add a little more resin. See if I can't get a bit of a dome on that. Now let me add some resin to this. I don't know how much I have, but I think if everything else is domed, I think I may just pour the rest of this in there. That needs some more. Oh, whoa, whoa. All right, now I'm going to put the rest of this. So I'm glad I didn't mix 100 now. I'm going to put the rest up and put my hand in your way. I'm sorry. I'm going to put the rest of this in here. And now I think I'm actually going to mix both because I'm curious about, I only did the silver like the confetti there. And I want to see what that looks like if you don't do it as the confetti. So let me wipe the sticky off. I still want to use this one. I want to see what these big curls do. Oh, that bubble popped good. And there may end up being a ton of bubbles in here. The flowers do tend to get bubbles at the bottom, so you have to watch for that. And this is actually the Let's Resin. It's a candle mold, but you can use it for resin. And I will put a link to some of the products that I use in the description box below. I just want to get as many bubbles as I can out of that bottom of that flower. In the little creases, it likes to get bubbles. See if I can get those to pop. There they go. They're starting to pop. Let me see if I can help them. All right, now I want to put this long curly thing in there. I want to see, I'm going to manipulate that around. I want to see if I can't maneuver this, if the curl stays. This stuff isn't easy to work with. I thought it'd be easier, but still it's so darn pretty. I really want to be able to use it in resin. I wonder if I can get that pushed down a little bit because I am going to put some of this in there because I want to see what it looks like as well, not just as a confetti. And I'm not going to, I don't know if I'm going to finish filling this or not. If I do, I'll do it when I mix for the next pour on the coasters. And I may, because this looks kind of blank. It looks like it needs something more. Let me add a little bit more of the silver. And I don't know that the curl is staying. I'm going to add some more silver. Probably a little heavy-handed here. The static. I'm just going to dunk that in there. Yeah, what I will do is when I get ready, because I have to wait 3 to 4 hours before I can, I see a hair, before I can do the next pour on the coasters. And when I get ready to do that, I will go ahead and pour some more in this flour, and I may add a little more of the colored, the different colors of streamer to this one. I don't know yet. One of those cross those that bridge when I come. My resins start to get really thick though. And this looks like it could use a dome, so I may have to come back in and do that. But yeah, it's floating, and so I will probably have to come back and dome it just to keep it from sticking out of the piece. Get these bubbles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a few hours, mix some more resin so that I can do the next step on the 2 coasters. I'll dome this one. And I'll probably put some more. I don't know if it'll be colored or silver or a combination of both, but put some more of the streamer in that one. And I think I'm going to say I'm not going to do this one. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. So I will see you shortly when I'm ready to do the next pour. See you in a minute. It has been several hours and I have mixed up 140 milliliters of resin. I don't know what my major malfunction was earlier. I was meant to mix up 120, but for whatever reason, I was stuck on the numbers 50, 50, and 100, but it was supposed to be 120. The first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get some poured into both of these. Let me get my coaster molds, and I have let it set for several hours. Let me just pour a little bit in there for now. Let's get a little bit poured in here. And most of it will go into these coasters. I just need to make sure I have enough room left because I do want to back these with the copper mica. Pour a little bit more in there. Let me see where we're at. I think I could use a little bit more in here. I want to reserve some. Now the first thing I want to do, let me take my stir stick out of there, is I call them stickers. They look like little coffee cups, and all these are, if you look at the back, you can see that there's mica on them. What I do is once I'm done using these cups, after I cannot use them anymore because the mica gets pretty thick on the bottom, if the cup is clean, the little picture of the cup is clean, I'll cut it out. Like this one, it's got the copper mica all over it, so I won't be able to use that. But when I can use them, I do. And then I go ahead and coat the other side with resin as well. But what I want to do is I actually want to stick this down in this resin, kind of get it coated if possible. There's just a little bit of resin in here. Bring it up. Let me just set it down right there. I will work on centering it in a minute. Let me go ahead and get this one in here. Do the same. Just want to get it coated a little bit. And what I'm trying to do here is prevent bubbles. All right, let me set that aside and give this a wipe. And I want to see if I can't, definitely want to tap them, but I want to try my hardest to get these centered. Centered and straight. That looks pretty good. All right, got that. I'm going to need these. And what I have here are, these are coffee beans that I have coated in resin as well. If you watch the coffee bean coaster video, which was like my 4th video, I was brand new at all of this. But I thought now would be a good time to do it since I needed to mix some resin for these coasters. I thought now would be a good time to test this other stuff. So let me see if I can't strategically place these around in the coaster. I may have to use my fingers, we'll see. And I will move them around a little bit once I get them placed in there. And I do have some dark and some light coffee beans, but I'm going to use my fingers, I think. And once I get them placed in there, I will give them taps because I don't want any bubbles if at all possible. And that's why I coated the coffee beans. I did find out pretty early that they do have a tendency to bubble if you don't coat them. You still have to watch for bubbles if you do. And I love these coasters. I mean, I'm a big coffee fan. And so these make nice gifts for the coffee connoisseur. There's no rhyme or reason. I just want, and some are facing up, some are facing down. And that's intentional. Generally speaking, yes, I have a flat edge that kind of tells me that when I coated them originally, I purposely coated them and then placed them some facing up, some facing down. Let me see if I can get those tapped in there, and I will probably add a few more to this one, and then we'll move on to the next, and then we'll move on to the experiment molds. And it is important when you're using stuff like this that you make sure that they're all underneath the resin. Let me add here's a little one. Let me see if I can't get that like about right there. Let me turn these over so I can see them. Those two are stuck together. Let's put a light bean over here, because I do want to mix the light and the dark at least a little bit. One there. See if we can put one there. And maybe one here. All right, let me get these tapped. Ooh. And move them around a little bit. They appear to be floating on me. I might fix that center again. And I may have to, as these are starting to cure, continue to kind of pop them down because they are floating. I feel like I need one in this corner over here. So let's put one over here. See if we can't scooch it over. I haven't tried this technique on the large geometrical, the Let's Resin large geometrical coaster mold yet, but I may want to do that in the near future because there will be enough room in those that I could actually like put the beans in layers, because I just really like the way that that looks when you're able to layer stuff. Let me see here. Let's see if I can't get that one down. And I want to make sure that that sticker is kind of centered. All right, let me work on the other one for a little bit. Let me pour some more coffee beans or get some more coffee beans out. And we'll see if we can't. Oops, that one flipped over the wrong way. Place a few in here. And once these cure for a few hours, I will actually back them in the copper mica. And I'll do that off camera and then meet you back here when we're ready to unmold everything. So I'm really curious about these over here. Let me see if I can just put some beans in and then I will place them where I want them. I just need to make sure that they are under this. That one's upside down. Let's see if I can get that one turned. It's just easier to do with your fingers. They're easier to pick up, except for occasionally you get them to turn the wrong way, the way that you don't want them to. I don't want to overwhelm it with coffee beans, but I don't want it underwhelmed either. Let's see here. So these are floating a little bit, which is fine. I can just, even when they float, I don't think that they're going to, let me grab a popsicle stick. I don't think that they're going to go over the rim. No, they'll be fine. But I still may work on, kind of pushing them down as the resin is curing, because ideally I would like them not right up against the backing, the copper backing when I put it in. Let's see, what do I think here? Do I think I need any more? Is there a little spot that I think I need to put one in? I'll put this one right down here. Okay, let me pick these beans up and see if I can carefully move these. Let me move that out of the way and see if I can carefully scooch these and trade places. What I have here, let me move this over. I was playing with the scissors on these, and the tighter you hold the scissors or the piece of this stuff, I don't even know what to call it, the tighter you hold it, the smaller the curl. So I was actually practicing trying to make them not quite as tight, because the project I'm thinking about, I really want to try these in. If they work in the resin okay, I may use a combination of both tight and loose. I may even use a combination of both colors, but I kind of like the loose ones. Now on these, that one and that one's already domed. They do apparently float, because I can feel here where it floated up. Now here, I don't know if it floated up or if I just didn't get it under, but I guess I feel like I need to push my luck. I kind of want to see, because the way I shoved that first curl in there, it's not going to tell me what I want to know. I want to know, will these stay curled in the resin? So even though they may pop up, I'm going to put a few in here, add the resin, and see what we end up with. First thing I want to do, though, is I do want to add just a little bit of resin to this sphere, simply because it is popping up. That should do it. So let me go ahead and add whatever I have left, even if it doesn't cover it all. I'm going to add whatever I have left to this little flower. May not dome it. It may, though. Oops, I just made a mess. Sorry for getting my hand in your way, y'all. Let me get this last little bit out. So I'm kind of glad I didn't mix the correct amount the first time around, because of the fact that these do float. And that's one of the reasons on a lot of my projects, I'll come back in and do a little dome after the fact, after I've placed whatever in, is because if I don't know if it's going to float or not, I would rather not fight with it. I've got to tell you guys, I am really curious about how these look, how this stuff looks in the resin, but I'm super curious about this one. I mean, just looking at it, it looks like it's still curled in there, but ooh, I'm getting ready to spill it everywhere. But I'm really curious about that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these cure for a few hours, and then I'm going to back them with the copper mica, and I'll do that off camera. And then I will meet you back here when it's time for the unmolding. So I will see you shortly. It is time for the unmolding. And I am going to start with these little coffee bean coasters first. And they did, the beans did keep floating. And I finally gave up the fight. I mean, if I didn't want them to float, I could just pour like a thin layer of the clear, let them cure in that, and then pour some more. And I do know that these coasters will require a top coat. But there's the octagon. And I just love the way the coffee beans look in these. Let me set that aside and grab this one. I absolutely love these coffee bean coasters though. And I will put a top coat on them shortly. I'll do that off camera though. You've seen me do that probably more than once. And here's the square. So these are the coffee bean coasters. Let me set those to the side and bring these forward. And I'll probably have to wrestle a little bit with these skulls because they're so tiny. I love the molds though. These are the Let's Resin. It's the large skull mold and 4 small skull molds. Or you can just buy the large skull molds. I've done both because I use the large skull so much that I think I finally wore one of them out. Let me see if I can't get this to pop out for me. And we're going to see what this is, the silver fringe that I used in this. And I guess that's what it's called because it is a fringe backdrop. But we're going to call it fringe. Let me see if I can get that out. There's the silver one. And this is the one that I did the confetti and it stuck mostly in the cup. But it doesn't look bad. It would look better if there were more of it in there. And it looks like these molds are starting to wear out a little bit too because they're a little on the dull side. But on the bright side, there's no huge bubble pits in the cheeks. There's that one. Let's go ahead and do the one that's the rainbowish colored ones. This is the one. These two I'm the most excited to see. And as you can see in this one, it's still curled. That's a good sign. Of course, this was just put in the back, and it did float to the top, and I expected that. I hope that these are still curled that I just kind of shoved in there. Let me see if I can get this one off. It's getting loose. Here it comes. Ooh, look how pretty that is. Oh, I like the way that looks. That is pretty. And again, no big bubble pits or anything in the cheeks, the cheekbones. Oh, I like the way that looks. All right, let's do the flower next, and then we're going to do the sphere. I mean, just like that, the flower looks pretty to me. But this is the one that I kind of just put a whole slew of this, that, and the other in. So we'll see. Let's see if I can get this off. I could have gotten a little more down here, but still, that looks cool. Look at the curls on the side. The bottom's really pretty. And this gives me an idea too by mixing both the silver and the multicolored what it might come out like. Now there's a lot of bubble pits in this flower, but I didn't try real hard to get them out because I was just trying to test the material. But overall, I like the way that turned out. All right, let's get to this one. This is the one that I really am super curious about because I didn't overload this thing and I did put some curls in it. Let's see if we can get this loose. Definitely have some Humpty Doos that I'll need to take care of. Let's see. Here we go. Let's see what we have, y'all. This is the one I was the most curious about. Oh, those are pretty. Oh, look how pretty that is. Bit of a clear gap there, which I don't necessarily mind. I would like a little bit more in there, but this is the one that I kind of just wanted to see. And you can see the curls. The curls are in there. And although like I saw a bubble like right down here, I don't see a bunch of bubbles in here. That is pretty. I like that. So overall, yes, this material will work in resin. I also know that it floats, so I need to be aware of that when I use it. And I do have an idea that hopefully will work out in the real near future to use. I'll probably use the multicolored because it's just so pretty. But I mean, for $1.25 each, so $2.50 for 2 packages of a lot of material. There's a lot of material in this. I'll just store that like in a gallon size Ziploc bag because it doesn't take a whole bunch. I cut just a few and I still have a lot in the cups. So I think that was a good investment. So let me know what you think of the final projects in the comments below. Also, please consider hitting the like, share, and subscribe buttons. I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Thanks.